Girl, are we rolling? Is this thing recording? Girl, welcome to the Pride in a Pod. Child, we're going to bring you something delicious. But wait a minute. Mama got a little too excited. Now, ladies and gentlemen and gender non-conforming guests, my name is Miss Mavis Dash, and I'm going to be your fabulous host for these 4 beautiful episodes. Now, we're going to be talking about a range of topics, not just queer only, but we're also going to be diving into what is happening in the political landscape of Namibia as we get ready for elections and so much more. So get ready for episodes on pride, get ready for episodes on laws being removed, get ready for episodes on just talking safety. We're going to be here to make you understand that as a Namibian in this new country where everybody has a place, because equality is for who? Everybody. We're going to take y'all on a journey. So sit back, relax, and just watch this good video that Mama Mavis and her team has got cooking up for you. The sodomy law in Namibia, inherited from the apartheid-era, has long criminalized consensual same-sex intimacy between men. This law, a relic of colonial rule, has imposed severe penalties and social stigma on the LGBTQ community. The case challenging this law began when a brave gay man seeking justice and equality brought his case to the High Court under Article 25 of our Constitution, arguing that these laws violated his rights to equality, dignity, privacy, freedom of expression, and freedom of association. As the case progressed through the legal system, it garnered widespread attention and support from various human rights organizations. The High Court, in a landmark ruling, declared the common law offense of sodomy and unnatural sexual offenses unconstitutional and invalid. This ruling not only decriminalized same-sex intimacy, but also struck down related statutory provisions in the Criminal Procedure Act, the Immigration Control Act, and the Defense Act. The judgment highlighted the enforcing private moral views, even if held by a majority. It is not a legitimate governmental purpose, and that such laws unjustly discriminate against gay men. This decision is a monumental step towards ensuring equality and freedom from discrimination for all Namibians. Echoing the promise of a born-free Namibia, the impact of this ruling extends beyond the LGBTQ community, safeguarding the fundamental rights of future generations. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and gender non-conforming guests, to our debut episode of Pride in a Pod. Now, I'm so excited because I know I've been teasing y'all, and I know I look good, but Mama can't sit here alone because we've got important things to talk about. So we've got the one, the only, the man himself that has made sure that every person out there can experience equality, the one and only Friedel Dausab. How are you doing, Friedel?
I'm good. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule, because I know today was quite crazy, but we're going to jump on into all of that in a bit. But I want to find out from you, who is Friedel Dausab? To all of my people sitting in there like, Mavis, who this beautiful man? Like, he looking good with his little polo neck. Who are you to all of our people out there?
Small towner, born in Tsumeb, 50 years old this year. Actually, I joke that I'm 25 years old. Right.
I like that.
Yeah, living with HIV for 25 years. I think I was born again on that day. I think I'm 0 years old today because I'm born again today.
Yeah, it's independence for us. Yeah. This is our independence now. So just a beautiful introduction. I love that. And it's so nice to know that you can be so open with us, and you've been so open with us throughout this entire time. I mean, you've basically put your life on the line for the community, and I'm so happy that we can have this conversation just to find out a little bit more about what actually happened today. Now, we had a beautiful video earlier where we just got our listeners to listen to what actually was going on today, but from your POV, the main person that has been at the forefront, that has been receiving the most flames, what actually was going on today? Why were we at court?
So it happened quite fast, didn't it? I couldn't believe my ears. I had to lean forward to hear what the judge was saying. But today was actually really a landmark ruling. For the past 20 years, I've been working in civil society. We've been kind of talking to government about this law. We're saying, why do we have it? Why is it still here? And it was sort of never used. And we knew that it shouldn't be there. We knew it was a colonial law. We know that it came from King Charles or some
One of those
royal who wanted to power grab from the Romans, and so he made it Bakri law that all colonies of the British state got. We didn't get the Bakri law; we got the sodomy law, and so it was really strange that our government, in a post-independent Namibia, grabbed onto this law and was hacking it
like a
using
newborn
all sorts
baby.
of arguments about tradition and culture and religion, just to hold on to it. But what happened today was really a landmark judgment that meant that independence really arrived for us as an LGBT community in Namibia.
I love that. I know like earlier, we all got very emotional. It was obviously such an amazing moment, and it really is, like you say, a landmark moment. And it's changed the history. It's changed the books. It's changed her story. And I know very soon we're all going to be going to the polls, so y'all better get that registration going so that we can all get there and make more moments like this possible, not just for ourselves, but for the future generation. And that's what you were able to do today, along with so many other amazing people. And we all know that obviously this is going to affect a lot of people. There's going to be great moments for all of us. We're going to celebrate. We're going to but we also know that there's going to come with a lot of fire. It's still going to be there. There is going to be pushback. So when we look at what has happened today, what do we expect this moment to mean for all of us? Is it only going to be good? Is it only going to be bad? And what do those good and bads look like?
Well, first of all, let's take a moment to celebrate.
Slay.
We know that we're halfway through the process. This is a constitutional challenge, which means that the Supreme Court, which is really the final arbiter of our Constitution, has to pronounce itself in some way or the other to ensure that we have cemented the win that we're going to have today. But this also comes at the back of some really incredible rulings, right? The Digashu case, the Mercedes case, the Lisfranc case, which was really the first LGBT case, right? And we still have to go to Supreme Court. But I would also like to caution that, this is just sodomy.
Yes.
We have a lot of laws in our country that are still discriminatory. The employment law for one, the domestic violence law for one, and we were looking up to the younger generation to actually be able to overturn that and to bring true equality. Yes. And true equality will probably mean that we're able to marry, that we're able to have and raise our own families, and that we're able to grow old and have crutches together, right? Yeah.
I'm probably not going to do the crutch look. In my world, I'm forever 21. But I think it's so beautiful that with everything that's happening, we can still be so happy. And I'm looking at you, Friedel, and I'm like, there was a moment during when all of the conversations were going on, and I had a conversation with my team, and we spoke about what it is that Friedel is going through right now. Because for myself, it felt like anxiety was taking over. It felt like I couldn't breathe. It felt like if I walked outside, they knew and they were going to come for me. So I can only imagine the weight that it's been on your shoulders. And I'm sorry to dive into it, but your mother was with you throughout all of it. Yeah. And I think what's so beautiful is that we're in Pride Month, International Pride Month, and a parent stood by her child, her queer child, who was taking on the state, the government. And she did not once falter. She was there. And I think it speaks true to what happens when a parent is there for their child, when a parent is what a parent is supposed to be, which is a guardian, a protector, someone to lead you. And I'm so grateful. Could you share just what that experience is like?
I feel so blessed. I I think that my fighting spirit comes from my mother. She's a bit more of a fighter than I am. But, it's been a rocky road for us. I come from a very religious family. I'm myself born again for many years. And so is most of my family. And so my mother started out as a missionary for the evangelical church. So I was born while she was a missionary. And she became born again later, and she's always been in the church. And when I came out the first time around, I was estranged for like 3 years or so. I'd just gone to university, felt brave enough
the freedom,
to open up and to say, this is who I am. And obviously that was sort of this whiplash, right? This doesn't happen in our family. We're a Christian family. And I think that since that moment, we've grown together to the point where, my mom tells me the story about 3 years ago. She, while she was praying, had a revelation that she needs to start praying for the LGBT community. And she did that. She's still doing that. And she's sort of a Bible reader. And so she's sort of really gone through the Bible, has all the texts.
Beautiful.
And she always tells me she comes back to the texts of non-judgment.
That's it.
And allowing God to work through people and to change them the way they want to. And she says that everyone is a perfect creation of God. And so I think in many ways I'm lucky to have grown with her through this journey, both in my HIV status, both through my homosexuality, to be able to have someone that's able to stand by me in moments where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. She sort of says, don't be scared. God has got this.
And I think that's so beautiful because also I know as queer people, a lot of us experience this ostracization from the church, and you feel like you can't come back to God. You kind of feel like that's because that's the first space that you're actually told you're not welcome.
Yeah.
And to know that you and your mom had this moment where for 3 years you couldn't speak because she herself had to go through that journey, because at the end of the day, when we look at it, it's a journey. And it takes us time to get to these people that we are, the true versions of ourselves, and to fully live that truth takes time. So it's so beautiful to know that y'all gave yourselves the time.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned when I kind of talk to young people, when I talk to people who are just coming out. I usually tell them, it takes us time to love ourselves. When we first find out that we're gay, we're like, shit, what's happening?
Yes.
Why am I this person? Why am I so different? And it takes about 3-4 years until we sort of say, okay,
it makes sense.
Nothing is wrong with me. I actually kind of like this. And so we have to give space to other people to actually journey with us.
Exactly. And it's a journey.
Road. Yeah, and to find out how wonderful and fabulous we actually are at the end of the day.
And I think it's so conducive and so healthy to see just how a mother and her son can really show to the world that we can stand together no matter what. Because you're part of your mother's testimony now. Yeah. And we all know that a testimony is the most powerful will that anyone can have. And the fact that she's living her testimony and she's constantly making it more inclusive, that speaks to what the Bible's all about, love.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, when you look at what we've been doing, like with this case today, it's about love.
It is about
At the end of the day, it's just love.
Exactly, and that's what I tell people. If you do go back to the rule books of the Bible, don't go to any other text. Go to the 10 commandments of
Love
that
thy
Moses
neighbor.
was given. There's nothing about homosexuality there. I'm not an Old Testament guy.
Yeah,
I'm a New
it was
Testament
a little
guy,
rough.
I'm a follower of Christ. And I always tell them, there's only one law. If you want to love God, love your neighbor.
Like you love
yourselves. And that, if you kind of keep that rule, you can never go wrong in the face of God.
I love that. Now, Friedel, I know we have so much more that we can talk about. There's so much more. And I feel like we're just scraping the surface. And I'm like, I still want to talk a little bit more.
Definitely.
But I want to dive in before I do have to let you go. But just a few more questions from my side. And I primarily want to know, as someone, as you mentioned now, who's in their 50s
Yeah.
and who's looking at
50.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Just the 50. Point blank period. Let's not get it confused. 50. As someone that has now gotten to live through an era where we were not allowed to be who we are, who's lived through the period where we've been fighting and building and creating and really rallying and really seeing the movement grow, what do you see for the future? When you look at everything, all the milestones, everything we've achieved as a movement, the losses, the wins, what do you see for the future?
Well, we have the greatest blessing for every Namibian is our constitution. And I think that every Namibian should take some time, not just to read the letters, which is the articles, but to read the preamble, because I think that's the most beautiful text that I've ever read. And it talks about things like pursuit of happiness, right? And it's a promise, both in letter, both in spirit, for us as Namibians. I think the future is beautiful. The future is bright. What is needed from us is the courage to actually go out and get the promise of our constitution. We should never be idle.
Yes.
My heroes are the young people who go out every day and go and party in their fabulousness, because they are attesting to the beauty of our constitution that says that every Namibian life is precious. Everyone should be treated with dignity and equality. Our privacy should be respected and should not be a matter of government to get into our bedrooms and to decide who we are supposed to love. So as long as it's two consenting adults making a decision around romantic issues, about family issues, about sexual issues, they should be allowed to do that without the interference of government. And so for LGBT people, the rest of the things that are out there are now within our reach. We should never get fired from our jobs because of who we are. We should never have to fight with our boyfriend or girlfriend or fiancé, and not be able to go to the police and not be taken seriously when we're making a case. We should be able to walk into any government institution and demand a service that is equal to every other Namibian is getting. These are all within our reach. And I think that it is time to become bolder, to demand, not to plea anymore, but to demand that we are treated with fairness, with equality, and with justice in all spheres of life.
I love it. Thank you so much, Friedel, for everything that you do. Truly, I don't think anyone can ever say thank you enough.
Yeah, well, and I need to reiterate again that this was not my journey alone. I know the great work that you guys have been doing in terms of community support. My family has been by my side. I had a brilliant legal team that did all these arguments. And I'm really, really happy that we got all our wins. We scraped the law from the Immigration Act, from the Defense Act, from
every last
You know
one.
what was the most scariest thing, and I think that a lot of people didn't realize this, is that it was a Schedule 1 offense, right? And what that means is that it was classed the same with terrorism, with murder, with arson. And so any policeman could actually come, barge through your doors, arrest you with fatal force. They could kill you. Not just the police, your neighbor could do that as well. And so now it means that we're actually really, really safe. Because before that, your neighbor could decide, oh, you're having anal sex. They
I'm
could
gonna
just
come for
barge
you,
through your door and kill you and say, well, the law says so. The law allows me to arrest a homosexual with
Even a
fatal
normal
force.
citizen.
Exactly. And so the amount of weight that came off from our communities, from our bodies that were being policed by this colonial law is tremendous. And I think we should all breathe a sigh of relief as a result.
We can undo our little girdles, y'all. We can breathe a little better. Loosen those corsets, ladies. We're free. Friedel, I again, thank you. But before I let you go, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we do know that we're about to go to the polls. We do know that we're about to go voting, and we know that that's very important. But for any of our youth out there, because I know a lot of times the youth feel like, why must I vote? My voice doesn't matter. Why do you feel like we should vote? And why is today one of those milestone moments to remind us why our voices are important?
Again, I would go back to that awful debate of the anti-gay marriage law. Those people who were in parliament, and I think they're all oath breakers, none of them, except Carla Schletbein, decided to be in the house, in our August House. Our vote actually means who is in parliament, who is in the National Assembly, and who is in the National Council. We're going to have two sets of elections coming up. One is going to be the national and presidential vote. One is going to be local and regional authority elections.
Yes.
When we actually go out and vote, we need to look at the manifestos. We need to look at what is promised, and we need to hold these people to account. When we do that, we can make sure that we don't have the likes of Jerry Akanjo or even some of the opposition leaders who were lukewarm during the parliamentary debate. Now, I didn't expect all our MPs to go out there and march for LGBT rights and to defend us. What I expected them to do was to respect the division of power, especially when the judiciary rules on human rights issues, because they are entitled and mandated by our constitution to do so. When our MPs actually go back and make a contradictory law, it doesn't have to be about the LGBT issue. It could be about water. It could be about housing. It could be about any other human rights issue. And so when we allow our parliament to do that, we are saying whenever our judiciary and our Supreme Court make a ruling in favor of the people, the parliament can go back and reverse those gains. And so it's important for every young person to register.
Yes.
Not just to register, to get up early on that day, to be willing to go and queue. Be fabulous.
Yes.
Dress up. Do whatever you do. Take your bottle of water. Take your sun hat. But go and stand in that queue and make your cross at a political name that you can trust. The name of a party for the national and presidential elections, a name of an MP or someone that you trust locally that can look after your rights and make sure that you're able to get employment without discrimination, you're able to get married and found a family as promised by our constitution.
Friedel, thank you. And like we all said now, a name is very important, and a name that I don't think any Namibian is ever going to forget is Friedel Dausab. So thank you for your contributions to a safer and a more equal Namibia. Thank you
so much.
And of course, our first guest on Pride in a Pod. And if you want to stay tuned, you better, because we ain't done just yet. But as you heard, we've got time to register all the way until August. So babies, get yourself up. You don't just have to scut at a club. You can also scut at a registration. So get registered, and I'll see you at the polls. But we're taking a quick little break, and we'll be right back. Joining us today is Mercedez von Cloete, a fierce advocate for transgender rights and a leading voice in the fight for equality. As a trans activist and a previous litigant in landmark civil rights cases against police brutality and unlawful arrests of trans persons, Mercedez has tirelessly championed the cause of justice and inclusion for the LGBTQ+ community in Namibia. Ladies and gentlemen and gender non-conforming guests, and we're back with Pride in a Pod. In Chomi, we are registering, we are geselsing, we are drinking waters. But I had to quench my thirst real quick because the queen of the walk, the queen of the mic, the queen of the voice, the original MC, the hostess with the mostess, my blueprint, the one and only Mercedez von Cloete. How are you, MVC? Ooh.
Clear throat.
Ooh. Yes, mama.
Hydrate.
Oh, Now read that, bitch.
Earlier today, we read from the Constitution. Today, we're reading from Community.
Jos, Macy. How have you been?
I'm so delighted to be here. It's about, am I allowed to say?
Girl, it's about damn time. Yes, mama.
You look divine.
Thank you. You
A
look
queen
stunning.
must wear all of her
You know,
crowns.
if she doesn't, then who is gonna?
I'm very excited to be here. Like I said, it's about damn time.
No, really.
It's beautiful so that we're able to not only necessarily get our stories out there, but also have the world understand who this gal is.
Nee, wie
called
is sy?
Namibia.
Praat.
Is she really the gal that she thinks that she is?
O is sy jas pretending?
I'll have you do the things.
Dis hoe ek ken nie. Groot vrou wat hou van 'n praat. But speaking of that, Mercedes, I've known you for more than 10 years. My introduction into this industry as a young little boy, before I knew how fabulous it was to be a queen. Because we are most now free. It's most now diversity, and it is strength when you are yourself. And I remember being a young queer boy looking at you and saying to myself, that's magic. That's power. That's beauty. That's Mercedes. And I have literally watched you since then grow and just continuously be such a beacon for the community. But for any of our youngsters, when you gave us albums, though I never gonna be block.
And for archival purposes.
No, and oh yes, ma'am. Who is MVC? Where did she start? Waar het die verhaal begin?
You must know this thing that they say about small town people.
Einste.
Us that come from
Ons
small
mos.
towns. We understand the beauty of community.
Yes.
And forming connection. So my journey, like I believe yours as well, and so many other people's, started in a small town with a misunderstanding of what I was being told about myself to be true at the time. So it went into a journey of finding out who it is that I am from my very core, what it is that I desire, require, and what it is that I'm willing to sacrifice to get to that point. And when we talk about sacrifice, it's usually understood as
Girl,
something
some
sinister.
scary stuff.
But like sacrificing for the sake of peace, for the
Yes.
sake of love, because you know the reason why I'm blissfully in a relationship at the moment. So my first love has always been this country.
Yes.
It has always been Namibia. It has always been the warmth that we not represent but emanate and
Yes.
live. So I'm passionate about this country. I'm passionate about its people. I'm passionate about the conversation that we're having here today. Usually, to like just sum it up, I was like,
that's what I
Google me.
That's
Go
it.
right ahead and Google me.
Oh,
But for the
yes.
sake of conversation, yes, Mercedes is a gangster girl. She's hot, but such a princess. Because God loves us. God loves us. And I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a woman of somebody.
Sure.
I'm a lover of not only this thing that we call life,
Yes.
but also this beautiful thing called democracy, which I really did not even know or care to know what it was about. And we're here today, and it's clear that there's a call on each and every Namibian to have active citizenry activated.
I love that. And speaking of being activated, your entire journey throughout the beginning of the MVC career and brand up until today is one of the most insane journeys. It goes up, it goes down, it goes middle. It's a real story of a woman finding her voice and using it to help and heal people. Because what you've done is really heal so many people by standing in your truth. And it's so difficult standing in your truth in those kinds of shoes, girly. But mama.
Peep the shoes.
Come on, shoe cam.
Where's our shoe cam?
But you've really shown us that there is more to life when you believe in yourself. And I just want to run through the beautiful journey of what you've achieved and what you've accomplished. Because I want to zoom back to coming into Windhoek as that young little child and saying, I'm about to be the new it girl. I'm about to be that little boy that takes over everything. And then I remember Mercedes hosting this beautiful pop-up event where we were all invited to the backstage.
National Theatre of Namibia,
The first of its kind. We were invited to be hosted, to be just enthralled by the beauty and the magic that is Mercedes. And what I want you to understand is what you've been able to do. And I know for a lot of trans people, a lot of times what's difficult is finding community. And what you've been able to do is take that community that you were longing for on the inside and project it outward and magnetize everyone to you. And you've created such a beautiful camp. But it did come with some troubles. And we all know that today we were in court and it was an amazing victory. But you had a victory in court too, which rewrote the whole script on how life can be seen. But it wasn't easy. And I know we said we're going to talk and have a little bit of fun, but I also wanted to go into those topics.
I was hoping we would not get to the glory details.
You know,
but the glory details is what makes
they're
the sauce.
necessary.
A little bit of broth.
Oh,
darling.
come on. You're going to do kapanas pines again, Hoini.
You know, I am a shy girl, and I don't know how to like dance to the praise that is sang onto me.
Now, obviously, your journey has beautiful moments. We've got the glitz, the glam, but with the glitz and the glam come the difficult times. The times when we need to put on a little bit more makeup to hide the scars that have been given to us. And like I said, I don't want to necessarily dive into it so quickly, but we got to talk about it. And I just want to find out from you, can you walk us through the beginning of your victory in court? But where did it start?
I believe where it started for me was where it starts for everyone else. Where you first start experiencing like inklings of doubt within and of yourself, or where you start feeling that you don't really belong, or you aren't able to uphold this perfection that is required. However, you know, when I saw you on stage, I can. This is the most perfect way to be able to describe. When I saw you on stage, doing the most magic, like you said, it was for me a reminder that there's so many of us that sit there, as you had said, that like aspire to be, that would like to be, that yearn, have a desire or an ambition.
Yeah.
You understand? So it was important for me to not necessarily lean into the soundbite that as a transgender woman, you have to be a specific thing. You have to carry yourself this way, or that you are unable to find balance within yourself. So coming back to where it started with just leaning into my truth a little bit more, knowing that, yes, I myself don't understand it at this moment. And if it was something that I could like quite literally take off,
And put in a little box.
and put over there, I would have been able to. So many of us would be able.
But there's
to.
no off switch.
So I believe this has been an eclipsing moment because Namibia was after the very horrendous apartheid experience, and I call it an experience for now because it is a part of our history and story, and it is also something that has helped us to grow into where we are, that there is a judgment that makes sure that we are all included. So it started with everyone else's need to stand in their own truth. From Keetmanshoop to Karasburg.
You see, as a traveling...
To the Kunene.
Thank you, Miss Michael. The sisterhood of the traveling heels.
The sisterhood of the train. Whether you do it barefoot or in sneakers. I mean, like, because my story is representative of many stories. And it doesn't have anything necessarily also to do with being LGBTQ plus, but being Namibian.
At the
we
core.
are hailed the world over as a warm, inviting, hospitable country. It shows in the stats and the figures where tourism is concerned, darling. So it's about that. We have to get back to learning, unlearning, and relearning.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, and I guess maybe we will talk about that at some point, but like there's a lot of unhealed healing that
Yeah.
needs to take place, and it's also evidenced in so much of the femicide that is happening. Understand me when I'm saying I am not making it LGBTQ specific. I am drawing
No,
it
I
in
love that.
with,
No, I love that. Yeah, no,
it's very
because
intersectional.
that's what
Yeah.
it should be. We're like,
Yeah, it's
we're
a
not fighting for
conversation
that
for
now. We're fighting to be part of the as
our
humans.
responsibility.
Yes.
And we are, in any case, the people that are doing the work to that effect. So,
Are we good?
yes, we were about to get on a flight, darling.
Wow!
Catch flights, no feelings.
Catching flies, no feelings. I like that.
What judgments?
But of course, and I know I'm hammering on judgments because Mama likes a good story. But I think what was very beautiful for me was opening the newspapers a few years ago and then reading, of course, that a trans woman won, the first trans woman won a case in court. And I sat down and I'm like, of course it's MVC. Of course. Die hoof meisie. But for people that don't maybe know why we're making it always such a big thing, because people always have this thing where they're like, ay, die moffies, hulle wil altyd al die aandag hê. Why is it important, and why was it so important for you to go to court and, of course, take this matter on?
It was important for me because if I am assaulted by someone, I cannot go to the dentist. Maybe if they kicked out half of my tooth.
Quick repairs.
But if that someone was the Namibian police, there is somewhere that I need to go. And this is just what I would like to maybe say from my part, personally, Mercedes, that nobody is born evil,
True.
angry, spiteful, vengeful. However, life finds itself to like put us in positions and spaces where we aren't able to fully be our best selves. And I think the conversation that we're having today is how do we get to the color that is us as a country? How are we ensuring diversity is not just a catchphrase, but actually a lived experience and reality?
Stop. It's okay. Not them polluting the air. Where's Greta when you need her?
Must we pull the microphone still?
I can project as well.
Yeah.
I'm able to,
Where were we lost?
opening up the paper.
Diversity, color, finding the color in Namibia and making sure that we're all together. Yes, slay. Diversity.
So yeah, just like the pride flag, it makes me incredibly proud to call myself a daughter of this soil,
Yes.
and to be able to because that's the next step, to be able to be an ambassador of our country, and not having to raise the queer flag necessarily, but raise our country's flag.
Yes.
Because Namibia is such a gem and a jewel, and can be such a beautiful example of what like an ideal African state can look like.
Facts.
Because this is what we're already known for. And I guess as part of us cleaning our house, it starts with not only the flag, the pride flag, but our Namibian flag, because there's people's blood who's been watering our freedom. So that's a conversation that we have to get into, because that's where we need to get to. Where is it that we got to a segregation? Because that's we got rid of apartheid for a reason, and I'm absolutely proud to sit here and be a part of the conversation where diversity is concerned, because it's all of our stories.
And I mean, it's so beautiful talking about diversity, because obviously I need to just shamelessly plug in this moment. Because you know what? Diversity can only be ensured if everyone registers to vote. So what is Mama Mavis saying once again? Baby, you have all until August to get yourself registered to vote in this Namibia, so that we can raise not a pride flag, not a this flag, not a that, but a Namibian flag as a Namibian house. Because I think what's always so beautiful about Namibians are that we truly are some of the bravest people in the world.
It's called
You know,
the land of
when
the brave for a
when
reason.
people sit around and they're like, "Oh, I want us to have the American dream." I'm like, "Keep your American dream,
Find
because
us
the
by
Namibian dream."
Find us by the
show
Namibian.
me,
Oh my
aye.
goodness! Find us by the Namibian.
You
dream.
know, and I
Find
think
us by the Namibian.
what's
dream.
so beautiful is like when we look at what happened today in court and we realize that we're changing history. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams, because in their dreams and their times, none of this was a thing. This wasn't a factor. They were celebrated. We were celebrated. So for us to, so many years later, come to this point and be able to celebrate freedom, to celebrate unity, to celebrate a promise for a better tomorrow. What a time to be alive. And I think you, as a mother of this community who has really been there for so many of us, when you look at what happened in court today, what do you feel like is the positive outcomes for us as queer people? And not just as queer people, but as Namibians, because our brothers and our sisters, they also are now part of the story. They're part of this journey. They're part of this new Namibia where diversity is the new norm. Equality is the way forward. So
And thank you for saying not new Namibia, but like correcting yourself and saying this new normal.
that's saying,
Because it's always
Yes.
been us. One Namibia, one nation.
Aye.
Unity, prosperity,
Hey!
justice. So we just got to an equality space
Yes.
because we must also understand that the us that we're talking about as queer people, we are the ones that are caretakers. Maybe not
Yes.
the child bearers, but the caretakers.
Yes.
We are the ones that fill the necessary gaps.
Yes.
In terms of making sure that no one is really left behind, because this is the conversation that we're having, as far as I'm concerned.
No, yes.
No one being left behind, because when we talk about our equality, it's not about the color.
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. So I am looking forward to a lot more robust
Yes.
progress where poverty alleviation is
Yes.
concerned, where there is really absolute gender parity, and that I stopped reading the newspapers a couple of years ago because it is impossible that such a country that prides itself on peace, love,
Yeah.
that type of thing can be rife with so much
Sensationalized
and
nonsense.
also like real life things that we are not completely at peace if we are all not at peace. So I welcome the ruling and judgment today because it is such a necessary next step
Yes.
in terms of ensuring that the rights and protections that are enshrined in the Namibian Constitution, hailed globally as one of the most progressive and best, that we were able to stand true to that which we are lauded for. So I'm excited for all of the advancements in
Yes.
terms of showing that it can be done, and it can be done in record time. So Africa, I hope you're taking notes.
Show me, because we are coming. Now, Sadie's, before I let you go, I've got 2 more questions, because you're a busy woman and there's a party waiting for us. And Mama still got to shake herself because, girl, we have free hands. So I want to just be that girl today. But just for any of the young people out there that might have been like us, trying to figure it out, that are right now sitting at home, even grown people that are sitting at home, because it doesn't matter what age you are, but the realization of self can come at any point. If you completely remove it from being seen, if you constantly put it in a box, what is that piece of advice that you give to our next generation, our current generation, and the previous generation that still can't seem to just come together and really show that this Namibian house sees every single brick, and every single brick is a part of this house? What is that you would say to them?
Yeah. I hope Oprah Winfrey is watching. It's this. A fireplace does not, when you sit around a fireplace, the majority of the time you're able to see these beautiful things that go there, and it's able to offer this warmth and this community.
Yes.
And it's indiscriminate of where you come from. So I'm saying the same fire
Yes.
that is able to warm us and that is able to feed us so that
Yes.
we're able to use it to get our braai on, because it's Miss Namibia,
Just-
we like a good time, just so the whole world knows. Is the same fire that can absolutely burn the Namibian house down.
Truth.
And when we speak to that, it means that what are we fanning? Omar says that so beautiful. Are we fanning the flames of hate?
Facts. I've heard her say that
You
many
understand?
times.
Which flames is it? Which flames is it that we're fanning? I would urge because we have that. We've got the aunt that wears checkered shirts in a
floppikie.
A
floppy mos.
floppy
Yes.
of a poor boy. You understand? And we have the uncle that never married, but I put people through school.
With his good friend that's always there.
You understand. And I believe that if every Namibian is able to find it within themselves, to open up their hearts, and I especially want to speak to the religious community,
Yes.
especially because I have seen and I have read, and my heart has been sore for the fact that they, who we have to go to for love. I told you in the very beginning, if I get assaulted by the police, I cannot go to the
can't do that,
dentist. Now, if God entrusted you with the souls, the living souls of people, and your immediate thing that you want to do is cast them away, it says something about the house that you live in. So that brick and mortar, we live in glass houses. As Namibians, we live in glass houses. So now after this ruling, we live in glass houses. So let's be cognizant of the
that.
stones that
Yes.
we're throwing. Let's understand that none of us have it figured out. All of us are trying day by day. And we are peoples. Both my parents are still together after 30 years of union and marriage and stuff like that. They're heterosexual people. We come from somewhere. We fill up a quota.
That's it.
We create space.
We take space. We
Queer people generally change the entire frequency and
It's what we
trajectory
do.
of a room.
Yes.
So it's really true that maybe what Namibia has to, and the rest of the world, if you happen to stumble upon us, needs to understand is maybe we need to let a little bit more light and color into our lives. So wherever you find yourself in whichever demographic or age bracket or life experience, know that you don't have to live beneath the best and the better version of yourself. And that only happens by sitting, standing, being and breathing fully in your authenticity, which is a frequency that vibrates much higher than love. And with that, I submit.
Oh, Mercedes! Girl, I love you. I love you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So profound. Thank you. And all I can say is our ancestors are celebrating.
As they should.
Their blood has not been spilled in vain.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Like, this is Pride in a Pod. It's so beautiful that we get to sit down, have these conversations in a new look and feel of what our country can become. And I hope that everyone, when they sit down, realizes that Pride in a Pod also means a seed. And I think it was so beautiful when Mercedes said that we all live in glass houses and we need to be conscious of what we're throwing, those stones. Stop throwing stones and start throwing seeds so that we can grow, so that we can become more of what we need to be, which is organic, loving people. So let's get authentic, baby, and go to a commercial break.
Am I about to yell like
Chobi,
one
what are you
Namibia,
like?
one nation? Yeah!
Precious! Now go register to vote, my dears. So we'll be right back. Your voice matters. Your vote counts. This election season, let's make sure the LGBTQ+ community and Namibian youth are heard loud and clear. Register to vote before August 1st and stand up for equality, justice, and our future. Head to your nearest registration center, which can be found on ecn.na, and join us in shaping a brighter tomorrow. Together, we can make a difference. Get registered to vote today. Our next guest is Omar van Reenen, a dynamic civil rights activist and the driving force behind Equal Namibia. A passionate advocate for LGBTQ+ rights in Namibia and a key player in the fight for equality and justice. Omar has been instrumental in mobilizing the community, the youth, and spearheading critical campaigns for equality and change. Now, ladies and gentlemen and gender non-conforming guests, I know I said I was only going to give you 2 guests, but it's a pride in a pod. What did you expect? You'll always get an extra surprise. So we have the one and only president of the movement. I know you hate it when I say that, but you are the president.
Thank you, Miss Mavis.
Omar, I need to ask you.
It's an honor to serve.
Come on, Miss Serving. Now, Omar, today was an amazing day. We, of course, witnessed history today. Just in 2 sentences, quickly, what was today about?
Yeah, so today the High Court gave a monumental and landmark ruling that's really been a watershed moment for our community and for generations of Namibians to come, queer or, not queer.
Yes.
But the one message that the court sent with this decriminalization verdict is to say that we are worthy and part and parcel of the Namibian society. And I think one message I will take home and that I want to share with many queers, especially the queer youth watching, is that they are deserving of every chance and opportunity in this country to pursue and achieve their dreams and destinies. So come up, take out space, because visibility is our ticket to liberation, because there is more work to do. And our greatest weapon against state-sanctioned homophobia. What a time to be alive and queer.
I love you so much, Omar, and thank you so much for everything you do for our community. I love you, and I want to ask you to do a little something with me for my little outro, because this is the first time Mama's going to do a little outro for the show.
Got this.
So I'm stealing this from my good sis Gigi has arrived. She has an unreleased song called Mofimeda Plan. So I think how I want to end our episodes, and the people will get used to it with time. So what I want us to do is on 3, I'll just say like, this is Pride in a Pod. And then when we're done, we just say Mofimeda Plan. Because that's what we are, Mos. Of who? Now, ladies and gentlemen and gender non-conforming guests, that brings us to the end of our first episode of Pride in a Pod. And I just want to say thank you to Friedel Dausab and Mercedez von Cloete, as well as Omar van Reenen for joining us on our first episode. And Tommy, wie is lekker, wie is mooi, wie is equal, en 1, 2, 3, kees a Mofimeda Plan! Geniet jou lewe! Yay! Kom hier, vrou! Slay.